What's up, everybody? It's Amma Jamma here. Thanks for popping in with me. I want to do a little pop-up stream. It's been a little bit of a red market, a little bit of uncertainty across the market, so I figured I'd pop in, do a little bit of chatting about what I think might happen, and what I see with some of the big cap stocks. We talk about crypto a lot. We talk about those top runners. We like to day trade a lot, but I don't talk in particular about what I see on these big caps. So I've got a couple of them up right now. One being Google here, and these charts are quite ugly, to be honest. So I'm watching Google here. Obviously, we lost this really important level that we were looking at right about here at like approximately. Hold on, this is not the correct. Hold on, guys. Actually, let's start with Microsoft. That's the one I wanted to start with. Sorry, guys. Restarting here. So we're in this downtrend here on Microsoft, as we could see on the daily. This chart looks a lot similar to what the SPY looks like. To be honest, in this downtrend, it's been stuck in this downtrend really since the beginning of the year. There's a good and a bad to that. The good is, if we pop on the SPY chart, for example, and we put on the weekly chart, pretty much similar to this Microsoft chart here. If I was to put on the weekly chart here, we have actually fallen in line with relatively where we should be. We had way too much bullish activity here. And if we pop a line across, say the top right in this area here, across this where we have the most touch points, right about here, okay? You can see that this chart all the way back, I'm talking, 2016, 2015, all the way back, this trend channel that we sat in, and we dipped below, obviously, with COVID. When we come back to this area here, we can see that this is kind of right where we're at. And just as a little example here, let's pop on the SPY. We could do relatively the same thing with the SPY. And this is why I don't really freak out as much as a lot of people do. We've got war, we've got COVID, we've got this, we've got that, a whole bunch of different stuff. Let me pull off this pitchfork I was playing around with today. We've got that weekly back on. I deleted everything so I could actually show you what I'm looking at. And it's relatively the same exact thing here. Now, if we go all the way back here and we take our trend line and we pop it right about here, you can see, oh, my mouse is being a little janky today. There we go. All right, so we've got this trend line here, and we've got a lower trend line. And really what we have seen and what we have noticed here is, we needed a pullback. The market ran way too hot, especially for big cap stocks at the end of 2021. So we've got this trend channel we're sitting in. And this goes back. I mean, my line's not perfect. I only have a few minutes here. I wanted to touch base with you about this stuff. But you can see we're going back to a pretty reasonable area. This is where we should be. So, that's what we're watching here. And the lower trend channel I would be watching for, we're approaching, to be honest, because the longer you go back in June, when we had those lows, my trend channel, my bottom trend channel price was much lower. It was at, 355, 350. And now, because it's a couple months later, the natural evolution of this trend shows me that we should be bottoming out pretty quick here. 360 is my stone cold dead bottom on this. And because of that, I am definitely watching for that to be where we bounce. Oh, we have so that's definitely what I'm looking at as far as, just trend channels and market sentiment in general, which I think is really, really important right now. There's a positive and a negative with the market right now. The positive is we're getting really good levels. The negative is we might not be at the bottom yet. So that's kind of what we're watching overall. And as you could see, this is a long-term trend. And of course, we got way, way, way too bearish with COVID, which was in this area here, the C word. I don't want to say that too many times. I might get flagged. And then we got way too bullish afterwards. And now we're right where we need to be. So a lot of people are predicting end of the world, this, that, the other, whereas I'm more so, where we settle, that's where we'll start our positions, this and that. But on these daily charts, if I pop to the daily chart, I want to show you a couple comparisons when we have something like Tesla, NVIDIA, these type of stocks. When we look at these stocks, when we look at something like NVIDIA, all right, because we know NVIDIA had bad news, AMD had bad news, chip shortages, so on and so forth. We can see how on the chart here, that was that infamous June low is right here. Okay. So if we look at the SPY, when we flip back to the SPY, that's our low point. That's June right here. Obviously, we're double bottoming, but on NVIDIA, we are hella lower now than we were then. And in fact, we even went even lower in July. So that to me is quite interesting because it tells me NVIDIA has substantially underperformed the market. So this is, this trend we're kind of watching here. It's quite important. And that's what we're watching, right? Like that. All right. So that's what we're watching. It's actually a bounce zone from back here. And now we're bottoming this area here. So this is kind of what I'm watching. And on top of that, I'll pop. Oh, you know what? Nikki's here. Let me add Nikki to the stream. What's up, Nikki? How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us. So we're talking about the levels of NVIDIA, how the SPY has outperformed NVIDIA pretty much. So what that tells me is NVIDIA's had much more bearish sentiment than the SPY has of late. And it shows me a couple things here. First of all, this chart is better set up for better entry, but it also tells me it's much more bearish right now. So it's something we just need to really take in consideration when considering positions in these type of companies, because as we could see, we're sitting in between a couple fib zones too. Actually, I do add a fib for the 1382, which I didn't add on, which would be right about where we're at now if we were to add one on. Let me do that real quick because I wonder where that line would be. Curious real quick. All right, so I'm gonna change my 1618 to 131. There we go. And that should be right about where we're at right now is my guess. Okay, so we actually haven't approached that line yet. It's more so down at 119. So I just think that's interesting. And also another thing I'm watching in this is in NVIDIA in particular is this is a pretty massive descending wedge we're in. As you can see here, this is ugly. When we break out of this, obviously going to be a bullish break, but I'm not necessarily starting any positions on this right now. And then if we flip to like Apple, do you see how with Apple you can see, let me delete all my drawings here because they're pretty ugly from playing it all the time. All right. So we could see how Apple in comparison, here's our June bottom. We're pretty far up compared to that June bottom. We haven't had even near the pullback on Apple as we have on NVIDIA and some other stocks. Apple's been quite bullish. We had the iPhone come out. Apple overperformed the market the last week and a half. And then the last few days, Microsoft has overperformed the market. And what that means is regardless of where we're sitting and what we're watching, it's been doing better. And we've taken a couple hard bounces here off of our golden fibs. I talk about this a lot. I'm going to actually this area right here is, oh, sorry, I want my box. That's what I want. This is your golden fibs. And what I mean by that, there's no guarantee you're going to bounce, but the 618 fibs is a pretty major level. People call it the golden fibs because a lot of the time with these type of charts and setups, that's one of your top points you're expecting a bounce to be. And we have held there for a couple days. So this chart, honestly, if we could break back up over, say, 152, which we're pretty close to, and hold over it where our 0.5 fibs is, I would like this for some continuation for a shorter term entry. But of course, for something like NVIDIA, I like it longer term because we've had more sell off, but it's a little more bearish now. So overall, I guess what I would be saying is this. So for a company like NVIDIA, my mind's more long-term setups, but I want to see a break into some better movement. So honestly, over 135 to 140 is where I would look for a NVIDIA long position. And then for Apple, for a short-term long position, and that's for like retirement on NVIDIA. And for Apple short-term position, I'm looking for us to break over that 152.60 and look for some continuation because Microsoft and Apple have outperformed the SPY over the last couple weeks. They've been much more bullish than the SPY. Microsoft the last couple days. And what I like about Microsoft is it's one that has sold off pretty substantially with the market, yet has outperformed the SPY the last couple weeks or a couple days. So for me, Microsoft in the immediate future this week, I'm more bullish on than Nvidia, and then Apple falls kind of in the middle there. What are you looking at? Is there anything you're playing or looking for positions in, Nikki? You're muted, girl.
Muted.
There you go. Sorry.
I said, I'm always loving your BABA alerts. You had a pretty good one this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, I put out a BABA swing this morning. It's another one that, and that's actually a great point that you brought that up, because I'll give you a little my thought process on something like this. That the chart really kind of does look terrible, but here's my thoughts on something like this. So we're sitting around $79, $80. We could see our all-time low is right here at $73. So even though we are definitely downtrending in BABA, what this tells me is we've got that risk reward. You're always looking for your risk reward ratio. So with this BABA alert, our all-time low is 72. So we would expect to bounce somewhere before them, which is only about 8% down from where we are now. But our reward on that 8% risk is at least 50, 60%, because I expect BABA to be up over $100 again. So for that 8% risk, this is how far it could possibly fall to that all-time low versus where we could be on BABA in the next year. That risk reward is like 10 to 1, 15 to 1, which is phenomenal, outstanding. And that's why I really do like BABA in this area here for small entry positions. We were kind of laughing in the Discord today, like, if we get a nuclear war, this or that, we're not going to care about our positions and where we're at. So you've got to be a smart trader, but you can't be a fear-based trader. When you people who smell the fear lose their money. So people who live in fear in trading. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have. I just wanted to go over a couple charts really quick here. And thank you for reminding me of BABA, because that's one actually that has a really nice setup right here. Hard stop, $72. If we lose this low, get out of your position. But I love BABA here at $80. If the market starts to shift, I think this is one that overperforms a lot of other stocks. So with, 89 or $78 entry, I would look for targets of like $85 and $90. Stop loss below that low of 72, say. And yeah, first buy here, second buy over, say, 83. And that's about all we have. I just want to pop in and give you a couple of my charts I was looking at. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Nikki, for jumping in.
Yeah, thanks for steering me towards the BABA's equities. I'm always looking, more at the option side. But
yeah,
actually, now that you explain that, it does kind of look like a good place to maybe start thinking about getting in some equities with it. I like long-term myself, honestly.
Absolutely. And I mean, we really don't have too much resistance. We got a little bit of 88, but then we're clear sailing to 100, which is 25%. So, and you don't have to worry about the theta then either. So
yeah, that's exactly right. That's the beauty of your equities.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we will see you guys in the Discord. If you're not part of Discord, link is scrolling across the bottom here. DM OG Nikki or Amajana when you're in Discord.
I will help you every step of the way.
Thank you guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Much
bye. Thanks, Nikki. Bye.
Bye.